Okay, so in this session, we are going to continue with our discussion of past CAT questions. And the topic that we have picked up for today is profit and loss. Now, if we talk about, first of all, what are the skills required for doing profit and loss questions? See, profit and loss as a topic is nothing but an application of percentages. Okay, so one thing that you need to be good at to crack the profit and loss questions is you should know the concepts of percentages and the various shortcuts of percentages well enough. Okay. Second thing is that you should be well versed with the terminology. So basically what is meant by things like cost price, selling price, mark price, discount, markup, all those things you should understand well. And then third thing is that you should have gone through or you should know the various variations that are there in profit and loss. So like traditional questions where you just have to find profit percentage, loss percentage, profit or loss, those kind of questions. And then also slight variations. So questions like where profit or loss is defined in terms of number of articles or the false weight questions. So there are a few variations which we should have solved. Okay, again, they don't really need anything different from percentages, but because the questions created in a different way, if I have done that earlier, probably my chances of cracking that are higher. Okay, now what is the weightage of profit and loss in CAT? So generally we can say, not as a rule, but generally you can expect one question. Okay. If you want to be more specific, we can talk about, let's say, the last 4 years when the format of paper has been 2 hours and 22 questions in, so 40 minutes and 22 questions in quant. So in 21, there was one question in each slot from profit and loss, or let's say 2 slots out of 3. So in 2 slots out of 3, there was a question. In 2022, there were 2 questions in one of the slots. Okay. And in the other 2 slots, the topic was not asked. In 2023, there was 1 question in the first slot. There were 2 questions in the second slot, and there was 1 question in the third slot. And last year, in 2024, there was 1 question in each of the 3 slots. Okay. So which means, as I said earlier also, that generally we can say that there is 1 question. There may be certain slots where there are no questions, like in 2022, there were 2 slots when there was no question. There may be slots where there is more than 1 question, but usually there will be 1 question in each of the slots. Okay. Now, what we are going to do in this session is we are going to look at some of the recent CAT questions from profit and loss. And we will look at the XYZ or the variable method of solving that. And we will also see if there is a shortcut and we can do that question a little faster by applying any of the smart cut methods. Okay, so this is our first question. And this is from CAT 24, slot 3, which means this is technically speaking the last CAT paper, slot 3 of CAT 24. So Gopi marks a price on a product in order to make 20% profit. Ravi gets 10% discount on this mark price and thus saves 15 rupees. Then the profit in rupees made by Gopi by selling the product to Ravi is how much? Now, there are different ways that you can answer this question. First is, as I said, let's first look at this question using X. So let us say that cost price of Gopi is X rupees. Okay. Now he's making 20% profit when he sells it to Ravi. So profit that he makes, profit will be 20%, which as a fraction is nothing but 1 by 5. So X by 5 rupees. So what will be the selling price? The selling price is going to be cost price plus profit. That is nothing but 6 by 5x, right? Now Ravi gets 10% discount on this marked price. So basically, this is not the selling price. This is the marked price. It says Gopi marks a price at 20% profit. So this is the marked price of Gopi. Okay, now on this marked price, Ravi is getting 10% discount. So let us calculate how much is the discount for Ravi. So it will be nothing but 10% of this value. 10% as a fraction is 1 upon 10. Right? So if we calculate, this is 6 by 50x or 3 by 25x. So this is the discount that Ravi is getting. So now what is the selling price? Okay. Now before we get the selling price, you can see that a discount for Ravi is already given to us. It says Ravi gets 10% discount on this mark price and thus saves rupees 15. Now the saving of Ravi is nothing but the discount that he has got. So how much discount is he getting? He is getting 3 by 25x as his discount. This is already given to us, saving 15 rupees. So we can say that 3 by 25x is equal to 15 rupees. Then how much is x? Let's cross multiply. 15 into 25 upon 3. And that is nothing but 125 rupees. Okay, we don't see this in the options. Why? Because this is not the answer. This is the cost price of Gopi. This is the cost price of Gopi. What do I need to find? I need to find the profit made by Gopi. This is the profit, x by 5, right? So how much is x by 5 here? The profit made by Gopi is what we need to find. Let me see just a second. Mark price of Gopi is 6 by 5x, and then discount is 10% of that. So that is 6 by 50 or 3 by 25x. And this is given to us. Ravi gets 10% discount and saves 15 rupees, 125. 125 rupees is what we've got as the cost price. Okay, so question is profit made by Gopi. So profit made by Gopi is going to be, he's making 20% profit. Okay, he's not making 20% profit, sorry. He had marked it at 20%. Okay, so this was the markup. This was the markup. So how much is the profit now? How much is the selling price? See, if you look at the selling price of Gopi, he had marked it at 125 rupees and is offering a discount of 15 rupees. So 125 rupees minus 15 rupees, that is 110. So which means his cost price was 100 and now he's selling it at 110 rupees. So how much is the profit? It is 10 rupees. So here what we've done is we have used the traditional X method, the equation method. Now, is this the only way of solving? This is not only the not the only way of solving, but also this is the most time-taking method. So there are more ways of solving. Instead of assuming the cost price of Gopi as X. Okay, if anybody has any doubt in this, you can let me know. Otherwise, we can just move on to the second way of solving here. So if nobody has a doubt, then we can look at another method of solving this. Yeah, any doubts, anyone? Please let me know. Otherwise, we'll just look at another way of solving this. Okay, so now let's see how we can do the same question without variables, avoiding all the variables. So now let us assume that cost price for Gopi is 100 rupees. Okay. Now he has marked it in such a way that he wants to make 20% profit. So what will be his marked price? What will be his marked price? It will be nothing but 100 plus 20% of 100. That is nothing but 120 rupees, right? Now on this marked price of 120 rupees, Ravi is getting 10% discount. So what will be the discount for Ravi? Discount for Ravi is going to be 10% of 120. That is nothing but 12 rupees, which means if Gopi's cost price, okay, if Gopi's cost price is 100 rupees, then in that case, Ravi is saving 12 rupees. But is Ravi saving 12 rupees? No. Ravi is saving how much? 15 rupees. Okay. In this case, we can in fact calculate one more thing. We can say that if Gopi's cost price 100 rupees, mark price for Ravi is mark price for Gopi is 120, then the discount for Ravi is 12 rupees, right? So the selling price for Gopi is nothing but 120 minus 12. That is 108 rupees, right? So how much profit is Gopi making? 100 and 108. The difference is 8 rupees. So profit that Gopi is making is 8 rupees, right? Now, if you look at the question, it says that Ravi has saved 15 rupees. But in this data, when I assume the cost price for Gopi is 100 rupees, Ravi is saving 12 rupees. So what we can do is now we can use cross multiplication. We can say that when Ravi saves 12 rupees, then Gopi's profit is how much? In that case, Gopi's profit is 8 rupees. So if Ravi is saving 15 rupees, then how much will be Gopi's profit? So let's cross multiply. 8 into 15 divided by 12. So that is nothing but 10 rupees. That is the second way of answering this question. This is also not the only other way of answering. Okay, so let's look at the third method of answering this. Okay. Now, if you see 20% profit is given, 10% discount is given, but one more thing is given over here. It is also known to us that Ravi has saved 15 rupees. So we can start from here because this is a known value. So let's look at another third method of solving this. Okay. So what is the third method of solving this? It is known to us that Ravi is getting 10% discount on marked price and he's saving 15 rupees. What does this imply? What this means is 10% of the mark price is 15 rupees. So how much is the mark price? How much is the mark price? Mark price nothing but 150 rupees. Okay. Now, how did we get this mark price? Gopi has marked up the product by 20%. Gopi marks a price on a product in order to make 20% profit, which means whatever is his mark price, which is 150 rupees, it is 20% more than his cost price. It is 20% more than his cost price, which means if we just take LCM here, we are saying that 150 rupees, that is his mark price, is 6 by 5 times of cost price. So how much is the cost price for Gopi? Let's cross multiply. How much is the cost price for Gopi? 5 into 150 by 6. That is nothing but 125 rupees. 125 rupees is the cost price. 150 rupees is the mark price. And obviously also offered a discount of 15 rupees. So his selling price is 150 minus 15. 135. 135 is the selling price. 125 is the cost price. How much is the profit for Gopi? It is 10 rupees. This is the third way of solving. This is the third way of solving the same question. Now, there is one method which is even better than that. Let's look at that. Okay, so we have already seen 3 methods and we'll look at another method that is even shorter than this. Let's see that. So any doubts in this, anyone? Any doubts? Anybody who's unable to understand? Okay, so let's look at one more way of solving this. See, Ravi has got a 10% discount on marked price. Okay, it's got 10% discount on marked price. And if we just, in one of the methods we saw just now, that if we assume the cost price is 100, okay, then your mark price is 120. And then when you offer 10% discount on that, your selling price 108, which means 8% profit, right? So Ravi is making 10% discount on mark price and Gopi is making 8% profit on cost price, right? And cost price is less than mark price. Cost price is already less than mark price and we are taking 8% of cost price and 10% of mark price, which means whatever profit Gopi is going to make, which is 8% of a smaller value, is definitely less than whatever discount Ravi has got, which is 10% of a larger value. Which means I can say one thing for sure from here, profit of Gopi is definitely less than 15 rupees because 15 rupees is the discount that Ravi has got. So profit has to be certainly less than 15 rupees. How many options do you see which are less than 15? The first option is 25, which is more than 15. 20 is more than 15. 15 is also not less than 15. The only option that is less than 15 is 10 rupees. So without even knowing what is the cost price, what is the selling price and all, if we could just conclude this that, okay, Ravi is saving 15 rupees, Gopi's profit has to be less than 15. We could have got the answer directly without calculating anything at all. Okay. So these are the 4 different ways of solving this question. Any doubts, anyone? If not, then we can move on to the next one. Okay, so if you understand, just give me a thumbs up so we can move on. Okay, great. So now let's, okay. Last method, some of you have a doubt. See, Ravi is getting 10% discount on marked price, and Gopi is, I've just assumed the cost price for Gopi is 100, and this is something, you can do it in writing. You can even mentally figure this out, that if I'm giving 20% profit or marking up 20%, and then I'm giving 10% discount, then 10% of 120 is 12. So ultimately, he's making 8% profit. So if you want, you can do it in writing. Otherwise, just mentally figure this out. So Gopi is making 8% profit on his cost price, and Ravi is getting 10% discount on the marked price. Now, marked price is nothing but cost price plus markup, which means marked price always more than the cost price. So this is 10% of a larger value, and this is 8% of a smaller value. So obviously 8% of a smaller value will be definitely less than 10% of a larger value. So what is 10% of larger value? This is already given to me in the question. This is 15 rupees. So it means even without knowing how much is Ravi's profit, Gopi's profit and all, we can say that it is definitely going to be less than 15 rupees. And there's only one option which is less than 15. So that has to be the answer. Okay, is this clear now? Everybody who had a doubt in this method? Pranjal and the others, I can see some of you have a doubt here. Is this method clear? Then we can move on to the next question. Okay, great. So now let's look at the next question here. So now this question we solved by 4 different methods. X method, which is slightly time taking, assuming Gopi's cost price is 100. Second method, 15 rupees was a known value. So just doing the question in reverse, starting from 15 rupees and making use of the options, because the options were such that only one option could have been the answer. Now that does not mean that every profit and loss question is going to have multiple methods of solving. So there can be a question where you just have to stick to the the traditional method, and it may be slightly time taking, but if your concepts are clear, probably you are going to get the answer. So if you look at this now, this is a CAT 22 slot 1 question. Okay, let's read the question first, and you'll understand that we are not really having too many methods here. So it says Ankita buys 4 kgs cashews, 14 kg peanuts, and 6 kg almonds when the cost of 7 kg cashew is the same as 30 kg peanuts or 9 kg almonds. So what they mean is all 3 of them cost the same. She mixes all the 3 nuts and marks a price for the mixture in order to make a profit of 1752 rupees. She sells 4 kg of the mixture at this mark price and the remaining at a 20% discount on the mark price, thus making a total profit of 744 rupees. Then the amount in rupees that she had spent in buying almonds is. Okay, now this is one question where, of course, we will need to make use of some equation. Now, there may be a shortcut. If one thinks hard enough, probably one might be able to come up with another method. But in lesser time, you will be able to solve the equations. So shortcuts are to be applied when they come readily to you. Look at a question and you understand, okay, these are the 2 or 3 ways I can solve this. This will be the shortest one. Just use that method. But if you look at a question and you start wondering that, okay, I can do this by equations, probably it's going to take 3 minutes. Can I think of a shortcut? You might end up taking more than 3 minutes thinking of the shortcut. So then in that question, it's better to just stick with the equations, solve the question. Okay, so when you see this question, there's no shortcut that immediately strikes you, right? So it's better to just stick with the equations. So now first thing that is going to, that should be noted here is that she was supposed to make a profit of 1752 rupees, but she made a profit of 744 rupees, which means how much is the difference in profit? How much is the difference in profit? There's nothing but 1752 minus 744. This is 1008 rupees. Why this difference? If she was supposed to make 1752 rupees, why did she not make 1752 rupees? Because she offered discount. Because she has offered a discount. So what can I say? Whatever discount she offered, that is the less profit that she has got. Okay, so she has got 1008 rupees less than what she expected. That has to be the discount that she has offered. So which means this 1008 rupees is nothing but the 20% discount that she has offered. Okay, so this is nothing but 20% of the marked price of 20 kg. Why 20 kg? If you see, she had purchased 4 kg cashews, 14 kg peanuts, and 6 kg almonds, which means total she had purchased 24 kg, out of which 4 kg she has sold at the mark price only. So now we are talking about the remaining 20 kg. So 20 kg mark price is 1008. From here, we can easily get the mark price per kg. So what is the mark price per kg? It is nothing but 1008 into 5 divided by 20, right? So that is 252. Okay, so 252 rupees per kg was the mark price. Okay, and we know that she had created a total of 24 kg mixture. So she was supposed to sell the whole thing at, let's say, 252 into 24 kg. Okay, so 252 rupees per kg into 24. How much is that? That is 6,048. So she was supposed to sell the whole thing at 6,048 rupees. And in this, there was a profit of 1,752 rupees. When she was selling at this price, she was making a profit of 1,752. So if this was her selling price, then there was also a profit of 1,752 in this. So how much is the actual cost price or the total cost price? That is nothing but the sales that she would have done minus the profit that she would have made. So this is coming to 4296. So 4,296 rupees is the total cost price. Okay, now from here, how will we get the almonds cost price? So our relations given to us, 7 kg cashew is the same as 30 kg peanuts is the same as 9 kg almonds. Okay, so what you do in such cases is to avoid fractions, you just take LCM of these numbers. So let us take LCM of 7 and 30 and 9. So 7, 30 and 9 LCM will be 19 to 7, 630. Right. So let us assume the total cost price to be 630K. Right. So in fact, not the total cost price, basically the cost price of 7 kg cashews and the cost price of 30 kg peanuts and the cost price of 9 kg almonds. Let us suppose that this is equal to 630K, where K is some constant. So let us suppose 7C is equal to 630K. Okay, and 30P is equal to 630K and 9A is equal to 630K. So now if you just get the value for each kg of cashew and peanuts and almonds, you can say that cashew is basically 90K per kg. Okay, and peanuts is 630 by 30, 21K per kg, and almonds is 630 by 9, 70K per kg, right? So we've got the per kg price of each of the three types. And what has she mixed? She has mixed 4 kg cashews. Okay, so 4 kg cashews total cost price will be how much? Let us write the total cost price once again. So 4 kg cashews, 4 into 90K. Then 14 kg peanuts, so 14 into 21K. And 9 kg, 6 kg almonds, so 6 into 70K. So that is 360 plus 294 plus 420. That's 1074. So 1074K is the total cost price. And we already know from above that the total cost price is 4296. Right? Which means both should be equal. Both of them are representing the same quantity, the total cost price. So we can get the value of K. How much is K? Let's calculate K. K is nothing but 4296 upon 1074. Which is simply 4. What do I need to find? I need to find the cost of 6 kg almonds. So 1 kg almond is basically 70K, 70 into 4, right? So 1 kg almond is 280. 1 kg almond cost is 70 into 4. That is 280, right? So 6 kg is how much? 280 into 6, which is nothing but 1680. 1680 is the required answer. Now, if you feel that this is a long solution and time taking and question is slightly tough, you are perfectly right, because everybody is going to feel it the same way. So anybody who got this question in, let's say, 2022 slot 1 would have ideally not done this question in the first reading. It is not like you can't do, but the thing is that you are going to frame equations, you are going to take time. There are no shortcuts in this question. So this is not a perfect choice for your first reading. Obviously, you just go through the easy ones and then you come back and you solve this question. But in the first reading, you don't attempt a question that is time taking, right? Fine. So has everyone understood this? Then we can move on to the next question. There are no other shortcuts that come immediately when you look at this question. There may be one if you think hard, but when you see the question, it doesn't really come to you. So this is one way of solving. Any doubts in this method? Anyone? Anybody who's unable to understand, you can just put it here in the live chat. Okay. Has everyone understood? You just give me a thumbs up or something, probably. We can move on to the next one then. Has everyone understood this? Okay, great. So then let's go on to the next question. So this is our next question. This is Cat 19, slot 1. On selling a pen at 5% loss and a book at 15% gain, Kareem gains 7 rupees. If he sells the pen at 5% gain and the book at 10% gain, he gains 13 rupees. What is the cost price of the book in rupees? Now let us see how many different ways we can solve this. So first and foremost, obviously, you can see that there are two unknowns here. We do not know the cost price of the pen. We do not know the cost price of the book. Okay, so one method will be frame equations, because you can see two set of data, 7 rupees gain and 13 rupees gain. This two set of data, we can frame two equations. Let us say the cost price of pen is P rupees and the cost price of book is B rupees, right? So in the first case, he's making 5% loss on the pen and 15% gain on the book. So loss on the pen is going to be 5% of P rupees. That is nothing but P by 20. Okay. Gain on the book is going to be 15% of B rupees. So that is 3 by 20B. Right? Overall, he is gaining 7 rupees, which means his gain on the book is greater than the loss on the pen. So 3B by 20, which is his gain, and P by 20 is his loss, and that difference is 7 rupees. Which means if I just cross multiply here, because 20 is a common denominator, we can say that 3B minus P is equal to 140 rupees. This is my first equation. Now you look at the second condition and let's frame a similar equation. 5% gain on the pen. So as we've seen just now, 5% would mean P by 20. And then 10% gain on the book. Okay. So 10% of any number is basically a number by 10. Okay. 10% gain on the book is going to be 10% gain on the book is going to be 10 by 100 times of B, which is nothing but B by 10. And in this case now both are gain. On the pen also is gaining. On the book also is gaining. So basically what we have is B by 10 plus P by 10. And this is given equal to 13 rupees. Right? Sorry, on the pen is gaining 5%. So P by 20. So B by 10 plus P by 20 is equal to 13. So now if you take LCM of 10 and 20, it will be 20. So we are saying 2B plus P is equal to 260 if you cross multiply. This is your second equation. Okay, if I just add the two equations simultaneously, 3B minus P is equal to 140 and 2B plus P is equal to 260. If we just add the two equations, we are going to get 5B is equal to 400 and B is equal to 80 rupees. So what is the cost of the book in rupees? It is 80 rupees. This is the required answer, right? So this is the first method of solving where there were two unknowns, cost of a pen, cost of a book. I have assumed a variable for each of them, framed two equations, solved them simultaneously and got my answer. Now question can be done in other methods also. So basically we can use a smarter way of equations only. While there will is, okay, so is this clear before we just move on to the second method? Has everybody understood this? Has everyone understood this? Anybody unable to understand? You can ask me just now. Okay, great. Fine. So let's look at the second method of solving this. So as I said, we are going to use equations only, but slightly smartly. In the first case, he is making 5% loss on pen and 15% gain on book. I can say 15% of whatever is the cost price of book and minus 5% of whatever is the cost price of pen is 7 rupees. Okay. And in the second case, he is making 10% gain on the book. Okay. So when I say 15% of book, basically we're talking about the book cost price. So 10% of book cost price, and then he gains 5% on pen, plus 5% of pen cost price is 13 rupees. If you add this, minus 5% plus 5% is going to get cancelled. So we get 25% of the book cost price is 13 plus 7, 20 rupees. So how much is the cost price of the book? 25% means 1/4. So cost price will be 20 into 4. Or you can write it as a percentage and then multiply. So 25% of the book is 20 rupees. Cost price of the book, 100% of the book is going to be how much? So 100 into 20 upon 25. That is nothing but 80 rupees. So again, here we are using equations only, but by avoiding too many variables and fractions and all, we can get the answer in a couple of steps only. So answer is 80 rupees. The third thing that you could have done is, because you can see all natural numbers in the question and even in the options, and they say that pen is being sold at 5% loss and 5% gain and book at 15% gain. If you are well versed with the percentage fraction equivalence, then you will know that 5% is 1 upon 20 and 15% is 3 upon 20 or 10% is 1 upon 10, which means by looking at the question, we can say that probably the price of book and the price of pen are multiples of 20. 5% is 1 upon 20. Okay. And 15% is 3 by 20. So after multiplying with their respective prices, if I'm getting natural numbers, then in that case, the prices would be multiples of 20. Okay. So I'm not saying that definitely they are, but probably they are multiples of 20. So let me choose an option from here, which is a multiple of 20 and test that option. So first option that is multiple of 20 is 80 rupees. Let me consider the price of book as 80 rupees. Now on the book, I'm gaining 15%. What is 15% of 80 rupees? It is 12 rupees. Okay. So on the book, I am getting 12 rupees. On the pen, I am losing something. And overall, I am gaining 7 rupees. So how much am I losing on the pen? 12 minus 7, 5 rupees. Right? And how much are we losing on the pen? We are losing 5% on the pen. So if the cost price of book is 80, then in that case, cost price of pen will be 100. Let us test the second condition. If it satisfies, then this is the correct answer. So if he sells the pen at 5% gain, 5% of 100 rupees will be 5 rupees. And the book at 10% gain, 10% of 80 rupees will be 8 rupees. What is the overall gain? It is 13. How much is the overall gain given? 13 only. It matches, which means this is the correct answer. So using options was our third choice here. Obviously, the second method is the shortest and the best method here, but we could have used options also. So these are the three different ways that we can answer this question. Okay, any doubts in this? Anyone? Can we use 0.15 and 0.05? Avoid those. Nothing wrong if you do that. Of course, you can do that, Sid. But as far as possible, use fractions. Avoid decimals. Okay, any doubts in this? Anyone? Any other questions, anyone? Okay, so if you've understood, can you just give me a thumbs up here so we can move on? Just give me a go ahead. We can move on to the next question. Nobody has a doubt. Has everyone understood? Okay, great. So then let's look at the next question of profit and loss. So this is again a CAT 2019 question, and this is from slot 2. Again, we are going to look at some different ways of solving this. A shopkeeper sells 2 tables, each procured at cost price of P to Amal and Asim at a profit of 20% and at a loss of 20% respectively. Amal sells his table to Bimal at a profit of 30%, while Asim sells his table to Barun at a loss of 30%. If the amounts paid by Bimal and Barun are X and Y, what is the value of X minus Y upon P? Okay. Let us first use equations here. So what happens to the first table? The cost price is P rupees. Okay. Now, when it is sold to Amal, So selling price for Amal, which means for the shopkeeper basically. So selling price for the shopkeeper, and this is the cost price for Amal. So how much is that? He's being sold at 20% profit. So 20% of P will be P by 5. So P plus P by 5. How much is that? 6 by 5 P. Okay. And now Amal is selling this at 30% profit to Bimal. So the cost price for Bimal or the selling price for Amal is going to be how much? This is the cost price for Bimal. So he's being sold at 30% profit. Okay, so let's calculate 6 by 5p and 30% of 6 by 5p. Right, so let's see how much is this. So this is nothing but 6p by 5 plus 9p by 25. So if we take LCM, that is nothing but 39 by 25p. Okay, this is already given to us as X. The amount paid by Bimal is X rupees. So this is X. This is X, right? Let's calculate the second table, same way. So second table, again, the cost price is X only, sorry, P only. And then the selling price for shopkeeper, which is the cost price for Asim, is 20% loss. So P minus P by 5. How much is that? That is 4 by 5, right? And now Asim is selling this to Barun at a loss of 30%. So what is the selling price for Asim, which is also the cost price for Barun? So that will be nothing but 4 by 5p minus 30% of this, minus 30% of this. Okay, so if we calculate this, there is nothing but 4 by 5p minus 6 by 25p. So if we take LCM, that is coming to 100, 20 minus 6, 14 by 25p. Right? This is given to us as Y. Okay. Now, what do we need to calculate? First and foremost, X minus Y. So 39 by 25p minus 14 by 25p, because denominator is the same, 25 and 25, you can calculate directly. So how much is X minus Y? It is 39 minus 14 times of P upon 25. That is nothing but 25 by 25p or P. So X minus Y is P. And what do I need to find? X minus Y upon P, which is nothing but P upon P. And how much is P upon P? It is 1. 1 is the required answer. 1 is the required answer. So this is basically using equations. Okay. We are discussing all the questions by equations, as you saw in that Ankita question just now, that almonds and cashew question. Sometimes equation could be the only way that comes to mind, but mostly there will be other methods, and the other methods will always be shorter. So while it is good to know how to do it by equations, it is more important to know the shortcuts and adapt them. Okay, so now let's look at the second method of solving this, if nobody has a doubt in this. Has everyone understood this? You can just give me a thumbs up on chat. We can go on to the next one then. Has everyone understood this? Any doubts in this, anyone? Okay, great. So then let's look at the another way of solving this. If you see, let's talk about the first table. The first table, the shopkeeper sold that to Amal at 20% profit. Okay, because there's profit. And then Amal has sold that to Bimal at 30% profit. Okay. Now, if you see, these are two consecutive changes. Now, in percentages, we do study a formula for consecutive changes, just in case you are not aware of that. If you are making two consecutive changes, the first change is of A% and the second change is of B%, then the overall change after these two consecutive changes, percentage change basically, is given by A plus B plus AB by 100. So if you see, the two consecutive changes have taken place on the cost price of the table. First, it was increased by 20% by the shopkeeper. And then that increased price was further increased by 30% by Amal. So these are two consecutive changes, which means I can make use of this formula. So what will be the overall change? 20 plus 30 plus 20 into 30 upon 100. That is nothing but 56%. That is nothing but 56%, which means we can say that the price that Bimal is paying, X, is nothing but 156% of P, because it is plus 56. So 156% of P. And now once we know that, okay, in case of consecutive changes, this is the formula we can apply. You can see that on the second table also, what we have are two consecutive changes only, same numerical values, only difference being their losses. Okay, so if we just do this for the second table, on the second table again, you can see the first change is minus 20% because shopkeeper sold it to Asim at 20% loss. And then the second change is minus 30% because Asim has sold it to Barun at 30% loss, right? So again, if I use the same formula, first change plus second change plus first change into second change upon 100. What we get is minus 20 minus 30 is minus 50 and 600 by 100 is 6, minus 44%. Okay, which means the price that Barun pays, why? Because this is minus 44, it will become 100 minus 44. So this is 56%. 56% of P. So X is 156% of P and Y is 56% of P. So how much is X minus Y? X minus Y is nothing but 156 minus 56. 100% of P. 100% of P is nothing but P. 100% of anything means a number itself. So 100% of P is P. What do I need to find? P upon P. What is P upon P? It is 1 is the required answer. 1 is the required answer. So this is definitely faster than the first method that we saw where we got into fractions. Okay. So these are the two different ways that you could have solved this question and got your answer. Of course, the second method is relatively shorter. So this is the one that we should use. Any doubts in this? Anyone? Please feel free to share your doubts in case you have any. In case you do not have any, you can just, give a thumbs up here on the chat so that I can understand that everybody is understood. And we can move on to the next question. I'm trying to show you different ways for each problem. So in case you have any doubt in any of those, you can just put it here. So any doubts in this, anyone? If no, just give me a go ahead and we can move on then. Any doubts in this question, anyone? Okay, great. A little bit more response from more of you would be even better. While I'm getting pretty decent response from a lot of you, but if some more can, let me know that you understood, we can move on then. How to calculate Y? Tarunpreet, are you asking this? How we have calculated this? Is this what you are asking, Tarunpreet? Tarunpreet, what is your question? Is this what you're asking? What have I done here? We have basically used the same formula which we have used over here. And in case you are wondering from where we have got that formula, it's just coming from consecutive changes. So if, let's say, you increase something by A%, okay, then the value becomes whatever is the initial value. Let's say initial value is V. If you increase it by A%, the value after the change will be 1 plus A by 100 into V. If you further increase it by B%, the value is going to become 1 plus A by 100 into 1 plus B by 100. So this only has been used to generate that formula, if you are wondering from where we got the formula. And once you know the formula, you will just substitute the values. So the formula was A plus B plus AB. In this case, because these are losses, A and B both will be negative. So A is minus 20, B is minus 30. So minus 20 plus minus 30 will be minus 50. And then AB becomes positive because minus into minus is plus. So this becomes plus 600 by 100, which is nothing but plus 6. So minus 50 plus 6 is nothing but minus 44. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's look at the next problem here. This is CAT 23, slot 1. Geeta sells two objects A and B at the same price such that she makes a profit of 20% on object A and a loss of 10% on object B. If she increases the selling price such that objects are still sold at the same price, equal price, and a profit of 10% is made on object B, then the profit made on object A will be nearest to. First method, the equations method. Foolproof method, we all know how to do that, but time taking. So not our first choice. Let's look at the equation. So Geeta sells two objects at the same price. Let's say that in the first case, initially when she is selling, let selling price of both objects be X rupees. Okay. Now object A is being sold at 20% profit. When you sell something at 20% profit, basically you are selling it at 120% of the cost price. If you sell at 20% profit, the selling price nothing but cost price, which is 100% plus 20%, so 120%. So if she is selling A at 20% profit, that means her selling price of A is, we are talking about A here, her selling price of A is 120% of her cost price of A. So how much is the cost price of A? Let us just cross multiply. And this is nothing but 5 by 6x. Right? Same way we can get the cost price of B. On B, she is making a loss of 10%. So that means if you sell something at 10% loss, so cost price minus 10% of cost price. Cost price means 100% of cost price. So 100 minus 10, how much? 90% of cost price. 90% of cost price of B. Which means if I cross multiply, I can say that cost price of B is 10 upon 9x. Right? So we've got the cost price of A in terms of X, got the cost price of B also in terms of X. Okay, now she increases the selling price such that A and B are still sold at equal price, and now we are making 10% profit on B. So now because cost price of B is known, we can calculate 10% of B. So how much is the profit on B in the second case? How much is the profit on B? It is nothing but 10% of 10 by 9x, which is nothing but 1 by 9x. So what is the selling price of B now in the second case? It is nothing but 10 by 9x plus 1 by 9x, which is 11 by 9x. Okay. Now what is known to us is that selling price of A and B is the same in second case also. Is still sold at an equal price. So this is not only selling price of B, but this is also selling price of A. Right? This is the cost price of A. This is the selling price of A. So how much is the profit on A? How much is the profit on A? Profit is nothing but selling price minus cost price. If we take LCM 9 and 6, that will be 18. So 22 minus 15, 7 by 18x. So 7 by 18x is the profit. And what we need to find is profit percentage. What is profit percentage? Profit percentage is profit upon cost price into 100. Okay. This is going to get cancelled. This is going to get cancelled. So we get 7 by 15. 700 by 15. 15 into 4 is 60. 15 into 6 is 90. 46.66%. Approximately, okay, 47%. 47% is the answer. Now, this is again using equations, which may not be the best method of solving. But if you've understood this, please let me know so that we can look at another way of solving this question. Has everyone understood this question? Then we can look at one more way of solving this. Has everyone understood how we have used equations in this? Just a Y or a yes or a thumbs up, anything is going to work. But you need to let me know that you understood this, and we can look at one more way of solving this. So has everyone understood this equations method of solving? Even a Y is going to do. Just write a Y, just write yes. Just put a thumbs up, anything. It's fine. Okay, great. So now let's look at one more way of solving this. So in the entire arithmetic, one can safely say that no topic is more important than ratio. If your ratio concept is clear and you can use ratios properly, percentage, profit and loss, simple interest, compound interest, time and work, time and distance. Lot of questions, the alternate approach or the shorter way of solving is basically ratios. So if you have command on ratios, then you can do great in most of those topics, because not only can you solve questions, but you can solve them by the shortest method. If you see, we know the profit loss on B in both the cases, right? In the first case, B is being sold at 10% loss. So if I write the selling price of B, it is being sold at 10% loss, which means it is being sold at 90% of cost price, right? Now, first case, second case, it is being sold at 10% profit. 10% profit means it is being sold at 110% of cost price, right? Because this is same, this is going to get cancelled. So basically we can see that the ratio of selling price of B in the two cases is 11/9. The ratio of selling price of B in the two cases is 11/9. There's one more thing that you know. The selling price of B and the selling price of A are the same. The selling price of B and the selling price of A are the same, which means we also know the ratio of selling prices of A. The second selling price of A upon the first selling price of A, that ratio will be 11/9. Is any of the two known to us? Yes, the first selling price is known, which means we can say the second selling price of A upon how much? 20% profit. So 120% is 11/9. So if I cross multiply, I can say the second selling price of A is nothing but the second selling price of A is 146.66% the cost price of A, which means this is the profit. How much is the profit? 46.66% or 47%. And again, you can see that this is a shorter way of solving, a better method of solving. Okay. Now, is this clear? Both the methods clear, everyone? Why equating the ratios? See, learning. If you see, Geeta sells two objects A and B at the same price, which means the first selling price of B is the same as the first selling price of A. Okay, and then she increases the selling price such that objects A and B are still sold at an equal price. So second selling price of B is also the same as second selling price of A. If both the values are same, then the ratio will also be the same, right? Learning. Raghav and learning. I hope you got your answer. If not, then please put another question. Any other doubts, anyone in this? Anybody else who's not understood? If you have understood, you can just give me a Y here. Any doubts, anyone? Okay, great. What about the others? Anybody who's having any doubts here? Sid, that is the reason you need to practice. See, there will be one traditional method of solving, which comes naturally to you, as you said, because that is something you have done for many years. That method you've done for many years. So if you're looking at any new ways of solving, need to do some practice with that, right? You need to apply it to 10 questions, 15 questions before you can get maybe not the same kind of command, but at least you become well versed with the method. So if you have just seen it once or twice, it is not going to come naturally in the test. Once you understood the question, you have to see similar question when you come across that, okay, this question is similar. So probably this is the shortcut I had seen, I can apply this. So when you do this in practice, then only you'll be able to do it in the test. All these are actual CAT questions. So it is not like we have taken easy questions or difficult questions. These are actual CAT questions, right? So you can see that whatever is being taught to you, that is actually tested in CAT. So once you get hold on that, practice it a little bit, and then only you'll be able to apply it in the actual test. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the next question here. So this is the next question. Cat 24, slot 1. So last year. Selling price of a product is fixed to ensure 40% profit. If the product had cost 40% less and had been sold for 5 rupees less, then the profit would have been 50%. What is the original selling price of the product? Now, what will be the shortest way of solving this? We will see, of course, different methods. But the thing is that certain questions, if especially, if you have done a lot of math, you look at the question and you know what is the answer. Selling price of a product is fixed to ensure 40% profit. Now, if you sell something at 40% profit, you are selling it at 140% of cost price. 140% basically means 14 by 10 is the ratio, which means my answer is probably going to be a multiple of 14. Now, the examiners only put one multiple of 14. Most likely, this is the answer. If there is any doubt, I can cross-check with this option. So if selling price is 14 rupees after 40% profit, then from here I can say cost price will be 10 rupees. Cost price is 10 rupees. If the product had cost 40% less, it will be 6 rupees. And it had been sold for 5 rupees less, it would be 9 rupees. So if 6 rupees is the cost and 9 rupees is the sales, how much is the profit? 50%. Is this what is given? Yes, this is the answer. Now, our gut feeling was also option for 14 is the answer because that was the only multiple of 14. So basically, without doing anything also, sometimes one can get the answer straight away. Options are such. In the first question also, we saw that there was only one option that was less than 15. So one could easily pick up that answer. Now, just in case, let's say that there are more options that are multiples of 7 at least. It may not necessarily be a multiple of 14 because we can cancel and it becomes 7. But it should be a multiple of 7. So there was only one option here that was multiple of 7. Just in case there were more. Okay, or it was a theta question, then what to do? So again, we can look at many different ways of solving this. You can assume the cost price as 100. You can assume the cost price as X. And you can also use ratios. 3 more ways we can see. We've already seen one method. We can see 3 different methods more. So if you assume, let's say the cost price as X, okay, let the cost price be X rupees. Now, selling price is fixed to ensure 40% profit. So profit will be 40%. And knowing fractions is going to help you every time. You don't have to write like 40 by 100 and then simplify that. You can say straight away say this is 2 by 5x. So how much is the selling price? X plus 2 by 5x. That is 7 by 5x. Right. Now, if the product had cost 40% less, so 40% as we know it's 2 by 5x. So the new cost is going to be x minus 2 by 5x. And it had been sold for 5 rupees less. Okay. Okay. The profit. So how much is the profit now? How much is the profit? It is the new selling price minus the new cost price. This is the new profit. The profit would have been 50%. Profit percentage is nothing but profit upon cost price into 100. And they are saying this is equal to 50%. This gets cancelled. Okay. And then now we can take 100 on the other side first of all. So 50 by 100 becomes 1 by 2. And now you can cross multiply. Now we can cross multiply. So what we are saying is 8x minus 50 is equal to 3x. Which means 5x is 50 and x is 10. So x was our cost price and selling price is 7 by 5x. 7 by 5 into 10. That is 14 rupees. This is the answer. This is using equations using x. Okay. Now in arithmetic, there is generally no place for x. Okay, so 90% of arithmetic questions, if not 100%, you can do without using any x, y, z. So we can also do this assuming the cost price as 100. So now let us assume the cost price as 100 and then solve this. Okay, I hope everybody has understood the equations method. So let us look at the cost price 100 method. So let's say the cost price 100. Okay. Selling price is going to give 40% profit. So selling price will be 140. right? If the product had cost 40% less, so new cost price will be 60 rupees. Okay, now because we have assumed a value based on percentages, okay, all these are percentages. Percentage basically means a ratio, and this is an actual value. So don't use this straight away. You just use the next percentage. He's saying profit would be 50%. So if cost price is 60 rupees and profit is 50%, means half. How much will be profit? It's going to be 30 rupees. So according to this percentage, what is the new selling price? 60 plus 30, 90 rupees. This was the original selling price. This is the new selling price. How much is the difference? How much is the difference? 140 minus 90, 50 rupees. When the difference in selling price, is 50 rupees, the selling price is how much? The original selling price, that is, it is 140 rupees. It is 140 rupees. But the difference in selling price is given as 5 rupees. So how much will be the original selling price? Just cross multiply. 5 into 140 upon 50, 14 rupees. This is the answer. This is making use of 100 as my cost price and then solving for the selling price. So 14 rupees is my answer. Now, as I told you earlier, this is also not the only other method. We can do one more thing here. Okay, so again, if I know ratios well, there's something more that I can do. Selling price of a product is fixed to ensure 40% profit of the cost price. Okay, which means if I talk about the original selling price, okay, it is 140% of cost price. And if I talk about the new selling price, he's saying that if the product had cost 40% less, so which means cost price becomes 60%, and then the profit is 50%, which means selling price is nothing but 150%, 50% profit. So 150%, not of the cost price, but of 60% of cost price. 60% of cost price. What is 150% of 60%? That is nothing but 90%. That is nothing but 90%. So what is the ratio of the selling price? What is the ratio of the selling price? This is the same. This is the same. This is the same. New selling price upon original selling price is 9 upon 14. Yeah, let's not cut the cost price in this case because the thing is that any of the selling prices are not known. So let's not cut the cost price. So what is the ratio? It's 90% of the cost price upon 140% of the cost price, right? How much is the difference? 90% of cost price and 140% of cost price. How much is the difference? 50% of cost price. 50% of cost price. This difference already given to us. This difference is already given to us. 50% of cost price, 5 rupees. If 50% of cost price, 5 rupees, how much will be the cost price? 10 rupees. The cost price is 10 rupees and 40% profit. Selling price will be 14 rupees. This is the fourth method of solving. So we solve this just making use of options. We solve this assuming the cost price is X. We solve this assuming the cost price 100. And you can also use ratios. Okay, now which method to use? Obviously, X should be avoided because that's the most time-taking method. Options method can only be used if that strikes you during test condition, which means the other two methods are what we can train ourselves for and then see in which question, which method is going to work faster. Okay, is this clear, everyone? Is this clear? Has everyone understood all the four methods? Then we can look at the next question here. Has everyone understood all the four methods of solving? Any doubts, anyone? Can you just give me a yes or a Y or a thumbs up, anything on the chat so that we can move ahead? Any doubts, anyone in this? Okay, great. So let's see one more question. Bina incurs 19% loss when she sells a product at rupees 4860 to Shyam, who in turn sells this product to Hari. If Bina would have sold this product to Shyam at the purchase price of Hari, she would have obtained 17% profit. Then the profit in rupees made by Sham is. Now, this time we will not have as many methods because there is no need for X. The selling price of Bina is already known to us. So there's no need for X over here. So there won't be any X methods, but we can still solve by at least two different ways. First thing I can say is Bina incurs 19% loss. Now, as we know that if you are selling something at 19% loss, then your selling price is 81% of your cost price. So how much is the cost price of Bina? 4860 into 100 upon 81, 6,000 rupees, right? And now if she, in the second case, she is making 17% profit, obviously on her cost price. Profit and loss is something that you make on your own cost price, right? So what will be the profit in the second case? In the second case, how much is the profit? It is 17% of 6,000 rupees. That is nothing but 1,020 rupees. Which means, how much is the selling price for Bina in the second case? Second case, how much is the selling price of Bina? 6,000 plus 1,020. That is 7,020, right? So now if you see the second case, they are saying if Bina had sold this product to Sham at the purchase price of Hari, okay? So that means that Hari's purchase price is 7,020 as we've calculated here. And Sham's purchase price was 4,860. Sham bought the product at 4,860 and he sold it to Hari at 7,020. So what is the profit for Sham? 7,020 minus 4,860. That is nothing but 2,160. 2,160 is the required answer. 2,160 is the required answer. Okay. Is this clear? Before we look at one more way of solving this. Is this question clear, everyone? A little, some more of you can definitely participate a little bit more actively here. While I'm getting a decent enough response here, but I would want more of you to respond. So is this clear, everyone? You just put a Y, put a N. If you have a doubt, put a no or a N. If you understood, put a Y, put a thumbs up, anything. You've not understood, just say not understood. What is your doubt? Just share your doubt. Is this clear, everyone? Okay. Okay, fantastic. So let's see one more way of solving this. And what is the other method? Obviously ratio. First case, she is selling at 19% loss, 81% of cost price. Second case, she is selling at 17% profit, 117% of cost price. What is the ratio? 117 upon 81. Cost price obviously gets cancelled. So second selling price upon first selling price, ratio is 117 by 81. That is nothing but 13 by 9. If you see, the second selling price of Bina is actually the selling price of Sham. And the first selling price of Bina is the cost price of Sham. So we are saying that if the cost price of Sham is 9 parts, then the selling price of Sham is 13 parts. So the profit that Sham is making is 4 parts. Right? What to do next? Just use cross multiplication. 9 parts value is already known. Cost price of Sham is already known to us. So 9 parts value is 4,860. 4 parts value, which is his profit, is how much? 4 into 4,860 upon 9. Faster way of solving. What have we used? We've used ratios here. Okay. Is this clear? Are both the methods? So many of you did confirm for the first method. Have you all also understood the second method and also understood that this is a shorter way of doing the question? Then maybe we can move on to the next question. Has everyone understood both the methods here? Then we can just go on to the next question here. Okay, great. So let's look at one more question. This could be our last question. So, yeah. Now this is CAT 23 slot 3. CAT 23 slot 3 quant was supposedly one of the toughest quant in the last 10-15 years of CAT, let's say. So let us look at this question and see, can there be multiple ways of solving, or was it a tough question and equations is the only way of solving? A merchant purchases a cloth at a rate of rupees 100 per meter and receives 5 centimeter length of cloth free for every 100 centimeter length of cloth purchased by him. He sells the same cloth at a rate of rupees 110 per meter, but cheats his customers by giving 95 centimeter length of cloth for every 100 centimeter length of cloth purchased by the customers. If the merchant provides a 5% discount, the resulting profit earned by him is what percentage? This is the question. Let us first do it by making an assumption. So let us assume that cost price of the cloth is 100 rupees. Achha, cost price already given to us. Sorry, cost price already given. So there is no need to assume. The cost price of cloth is 100 rupees per meter. Okay. And the merchant also receives 5 centimeter length of cloth free for this. So in 100 rupees, basically, he gets 105 centimeter. Okay. Now, when he sells this, he has fixed the rate at 110, but then he's offering a 5% discount also. So his selling price rate will be 5% if you calculate of 110, that is nothing but 55 by 10, 5.5 rupees. So 5.5 rupees is the discount. 5.5 rupees is the discount. So his selling price is 110 minus 5.5. That is 104.5. So he's selling this at 104.5 rupees. Okay. 104.5 rupees, he's charging you for 100 centimeter. But other than this markup and this discount, it's doing something more also. It's cheating the customer. So when the customer pays him for 100 centimeter, he doesn't get 100 centimeter. He gets 95 centimeter. Now, one more thing, one last thing to remember, and we will get the answer. When he sells 95 centimeters, he can raise 104.5 rupees. But the thing is that he has 105 centimeter with him. He has got 105 centimeter with him, which means this 104.5 is not the total sale. So I can just use cross multiplication here. I can say 95 centimeter is selling for 104.5. So 110 centimeter is going to sell for how much? 110 into 104.5 upon 95. This is 95. Sorry, this is 105. 105, not 110. Okay. So this is 21. So 115.5. How much did he pay? 100 rupees. How much did he get? 115.5 rupees. What is his profit? 15.5%. The traditional or the customary way of solving this question. Is this clear? Because this is a tough question. When you give me a go ahead, then only I'm going to look at the second method. So I would want all of you to respond here. If you've understood this normal way of solving, then we can see if there are more methods of solving this. Has everybody understood this? Has everyone understood this question? Anybody who's unable to understand, please put it in the chat just now. Okay, great. So now let's see one more way of solving this. Now we are going to make use of the multiplicative factor. As some of you had one of you had a doubt from where we are getting that AB formula. And we talked about the multiplicative factor. So basically, if something increases by, let's say, changes by A%, let's say increases by A%, then the value after the change is nothing but 1 plus A by 100 into the initial value. And if you apply a second change, a subsequent change of, let's say, B%, then it becomes 1 plus A by 100 into 1 plus B by 100. And then if you apply a third change of C%, let's say negative C, a decrease, it becomes 1 plus A by 100 into 1 plus B by 100 into 1 minus C by 100. That means these are my multiplicative factors. So if I just keep multiplying my initial value by each of the multiplicative factors, then I will get the final value at the end of the whole process. Okay. So now let us use this method for solving this question. There are multiple changes. We will take each into account, create a multiplicative factor for each of them and multiply. Okay. So let's use this method. So first thing is getting 5 centimeter cloth on 100 rupees on 100 centimeter is getting 5 centimeter free. 5 centimeter on 100 centimeter. So his profit is basically 5%. Okay. So which means 1 plus 5 by 100. 21 by 20 is my first multiplicative factor. Okay, this is the first multiplicative factor. Then, what about the second one? What's the second change? What he got for 100 rupees, marking at 110 rupees. So that is 10% profit. That is 10% profit. My second multiplicative factor is 11 by 10. What's the third change? When you buy 100 centimeter from him, he is giving you 95 centimeters, which means in other way, I can say this, that every time he sells you 95 centimeters, he saves 5 centimeter for himself, which means his profit is 5 over 95. Every time he's selling 95, he saves 5 centimeter. So his profit is 5 over 95, which is nothing but 1 by 19, which is 1 by 19. So my third multiplicative factor is 20 by 19. What is the fourth multiplicative factor? Is offering a discount of 5%. So discount is a negative change and 5% means 1 by 20. 1 by 20. Let's multiply all of them with the initial value and we will know what is the answer. $231 by 200 times of the initial value, let's say cost price. Okay, yeah, cost price in fact known to us, 100 rupees, is the selling price. So how much is the selling price? 115.5. How much is the profit? 15.5%. Now, if the second method is clear, we can look at one more way of solving this. So is the second method clear, everyone? Has everyone understood the second method? Has everyone understood the second method? A little bit more response would be better. Then we can look at one more way of solving this. If everybody has understood the second method, we can look at the third way of solving this. Has everyone understood the second method of solving? Can you just confirm this, guys? Some more of you. Okay, great. So now let's look at one more method of solving this. If you read the question properly, let's just go through the question once again. A merchant purchases a cloth at the rate of rupees 100 per meter and receives 5 centimeter free for every 100 centimeter length purchased by him. He sells the same cloth at the rate of rupees 110, that is markup or increase in price per meter. Now, if you just focus on the next couple of statements, he cheats his customers by giving 95 centimeter length for 100 centimeter. When you buy 100 centimeter from him, he is giving you 95 centimeter cloth, right? And then you look at the last line, he says the merchant provides a 5% discount. Now, when you go and let's say buy 100 centimeter from him, he's giving you 5% discount, which means instead of taking 100 centimeter key value from you, he is taking 95 centimeter key value from the customer. 5% discount means what? If you buy 100 articles, I'll say, okay, 5% discount, just give me value of 95 articles. So if he's giving 5% discount, he's actually just charging the customer for 95 centimeter of the cloth. Now see this. He is giving the customer 95 centimeter cloth and he is charging the customer 95 centimeter cloth, which means these two are going to negate each other. There is no profit, no loss from here. He is giving the customer 95 centimeter cloth and is charging the customer for 95 centimeter cloth. So there is no profit, no loss from here. Even the second case, if you saw, the multiplicative factor was something like 20 by 19 and 19 by 20. So when we multiplied, we did get 1 only from here, right? So the third and the fourth change, they just negate each other, which means now there are only 2 consecutive changes. I can also use the AB formula. First, he is getting 5% cloth extra. So A is plus 5, that is his profit. And then what he has purchased for 100 rupees, he is marking it for 110, that is also profit only, and that is 10%. What is the overall profit? 5 plus 10 plus 50 by 100, 15.5%. That is the answer. This is the fourth way of solving or third way of solving, whatever. Okay, so has everyone understood this now? Has everyone understood this? Okay, so this I think has to be our last question for today. What I'll do is I have also taken a few more recent profit and loss CAT questions. So I'm just showing those questions to you. You can take a screenshot of those questions. And if you have any doubt in any of them or you want to just share your answers, you can just post it on the YouTube channel in the chat. Okay. So these are some of the other questions from profit and loss that have come in the last few years. This is the first one, CAT 2017, slot 1. Want to practice these? You can take a screenshot. Okay, either they were easier than the remaining or they had just one way of solving. So this is the reason we kept them at the end. Okay, so this was one question. Then this is the second one. So this is also CAT 2017, slot 1. CAT 2017 slot 1, there were 3 questions of profit and loss, even though at that point of time, number of questions in quant used to be 34. So this is the second one. Then this is the third one. This is CAT 20 slot 2. And this is the last one. This is CAT 23 slot 2. Okay, now before the session, we had also asked you to share your doubts. So basically, when you are asked to share doubts for any session, that is more regarding the weightage of that topic or a strategy or something. But some of you have shared questions. So I will just take some of those doubts because some of you have shared questions. And we will not see multiple ways of solving, but we will see one method of solving those questions. Let's look at these 2 questions first, which are more like profit and loss questions. This I think I've already answered. So just see this question. Whosoever asked this, if you are there in the session, just see that you know this, how to do this. Now we have covered many questions of this type. If not, just raise your hand or something. Just put a message in the chat. Now, the girl who had asked these 2 questions, are you there in the session? Just give me a yes, then I'll solve your doubts. If you are there in the live session, please confirm that. And then in that case, I'll solve your doubts. Are you there? I think Gurleen, these are your questions. Gurleen, are you there? Okay, who had asked this question? Are you there? Who had asked the first question? Are you there? And the last one, Bhargav. Bhargav, are you there? Okay. So I'll just tell you the method maybe of solving one or two of these. Let's look at the profit and loss questions. A shopkeeper buys certain goods. He sells 1/3 of them at 20% profit and 3/8 of the remaining at 20% loss. Now, first thing you can see is 1/3 means we are dividing by 3 and 3/8 means we are dividing by 8. So take the initial number of articles as 24. Take the initial number of articles as 24, LCM of 3 and 8, so that you don't have any fractions. So when he says 1/3 of them, that is 8 of them. 8 of them at 20% profit. 3 by 8 of the remaining 16. 3 by 8 of the remaining 16 is 6 articles. So 8 articles at 20% profit, 6 articles at 20% loss. And then the remaining will be how many? Remaining 10. Okay, so remaining will be 10 articles. So remaining 10 articles, should be sold after giving a discount of 20%, what should be the markup on them so that the shopkeeper gets a profit of 10% on overall transaction? You can just consider the cost price as, let's say, 1 rupee per article. Okay, so in which case, if you are selling 8 articles, 8 rupees is the cost and 20% profit is 1.6 rupees. So you are making 1.6 rupees from here. Then 6 articles you are selling, 6 rupees is the cost and 20% loss is 1.2 rupees. 1.2 rupees you are losing here. Okay. Overall, you want to make 10% profit. 10% of 24 rupees is basically 2.4 rupees. Okay. So just if you just see, from the first lot, we are getting 1.6 rupees. From the second lot, we are losing 1.2 rupees. From the third lot, we are going to make some profit such that overall profit is 2.4. What is this unknown? If you just solve for this unknown, this is nothing but 2 rupees. So from the third lot, we want to make a profit of 2 rupees. Now, if you see in the third lot, we have got 10 articles. If I want to make 2 rupees profit, I should be selling them at 12 rupees, right? This 12 rupees comes after giving a discount of 20%, after a discount of 20%. So which means this 12 rupees is nothing but 80% of the mark price. When you give discount of 20%, you are selling at 80% of the mark price, which means how much is the mark price? 5 into 3, 15 rupees. 15 rupees is the mark price. So articles which cost you 10 rupees, you are marking them at 15 rupees. So how much is the markup? 50%. 50% is the mark. First answer is 50%. Is it clear, Gurleen? Okay. Second one is even easier. A merchant bought some watches at rupees 6,000 per dozen. 6,000 per dozen means 12 watches for 6,000 rupees. So one watch for 500 rupees, 6,000 divided by 12. First type. Okay. What about the second type? 25 pieces for 15,000. 15,000 divided by 25 is 600. So if second category, you are buying one watch for 600 rupees, which means if you are buying one watch, equal watches, equal number of watches of the two types, you are buying total 2 watches and you are buying them for 1,100 rupees, right? And now what he does, he sells them at 17,000 per 25 pieces. 17,000 if you divide by 25, you get 680. So you are selling one watch for 680. So 2 watches you are going to sell. 2 watches you are going to sell for 1,360 rupees. How much is your profit? How much is the profit? It's 260 rupees. Profit is 260 rupees when you buy 2 watches. If your profit is 39,000 rupees, then how many watches have you purchased? 39,000 into 2 upon 260. So this is nothing but 300. 300 watches is the required answer. 300 watches is the required answer. Okay, Bhargav, are you there? Okay. So then I'll just tell you the first question because this is one question many of you have a doubt. There are 2 ways of doing this question. Okay. There are 2 ways you can answer the first question. One is the profit and loss where you create equation. So because we have seen every question by equation, I'm not creating the equation again over here, but you can take the price of the larger diamond is X and the smaller diamond is Y, or maybe the selling prices. You can take the selling price of larger diamond is X and smaller diamond is Y. So basically what you need to find is X upon Y. And then some relation is given 20% profit, so much loss. You can get the selling prices of both of them and find the ratio. Okay, or cost price of both of them, find the ratio. So just make equations in X and Y and solve. You will get your answer. You will definitely get your answer, but that's a slightly time-taking method. This is a simpler question. This is actually not a profit and loss question. Okay, this is actually not a profit and loss. So this was a wrong doubt actually. This is a AMA question, averages, mixtures, allegations question. Why? If you see, there are only 2 types of items here, 2 types of items, which means we can do this question on an allegation diagram. If you see the selling price of the larger diamond, it's more than the selling price of a smaller diamond. The seller makes 20% profit on smaller diamond. On smaller diamond, he's making 20% profit. On the larger diamond, he's making 10% loss. Overall, he is making a loss of 20 by 11%. It's an allegation diagram. Just draw an allegation diagram. 20 minus 20 by 11, 220 plus 20, 240 by 11. And minus 20 by 11 minus 10, which means 90 by 11. What is this ratio? 90 by 11 is to 240 by 11. This is the ratio of cost price. Please remember, profit or loss, whatever, it is calculated on cost price. So this is the ratio of cost price. What is this ratio? What is this ratio? This is nothing but 3:8, right? 3:8 is the cost price. Let us say the cost price of a smaller diamond is 3 rupees and cost price of larger diamond is 8 rupees. Now on the smaller diamond is making 20% profit. So selling price will be 3.6 rupees. And on the larger diamond is making 10% loss. So selling price will be 7.2 rupees. What is the ratio? This is the simplest way of solving. This is an average mixed allegation question, not so much of a profit and loss question. So if you want, you can frame equation solve. Otherwise, this is the simplest way of solving this question. Okay, I think we are just going to close at this. I hope everybody has understood the different approaches. You have to try which approach works best for you. Use that same approach. Okay, and this is the important thing. You need to keep learning. When you learn, obviously you learn different methods and then you decide which one is working for me, which one I won't be able to apply, which is saving time, which is not saving time. Accordingly, you can take a call. I hope everybody enjoyed this session. You can share your feedback if you have any on the chat box. I have shown you some questions. You can take a screenshot. You have any doubts in those, you can post it on the live chat, in the chat that is. And if you have any answers you want to share or verify, that is also something you can do on the YouTube channel. The next session, we will come up with previous year questions of another topic. Bye-bye till then, everyone. Thanks for attending this. I hope you all enjoyed this.